What if I told you that the most magnetic form of attraction is not built on words, possessions, or appearances? For generations, society has whispered the same message, telling men they must collect trophies in order to matter. A faster car, a more expensive suit, a cleverer response. Yet the men who truly radiate presence, the ones who seem to draw people effortlessly into their orbit, know something deeper. They live by an ancient design, a philosophy of self-mastery that makes them immovable while the world crumbles like sand around them. This is not about age, it is about insight. And today, we will break down 7 timeless Stoic practices that shape a man into someone others cannot ignore. This is not manipulation. That belongs to children who play with strings they cannot hold. What we are exploring is the art of mastering yourself so completely that others feel grounded simply by being near you. It is about creating an inner life so rich and steady that it draws others in, not because you seek attention, but because you radiate a calm they crave. The greatest power you can develop is the ability to remain unshaken in the storm, to carry peace when the world insists on chaos. Forget everything you have been taught about chasing games. We are not here to chase. We are here to embody strength. Consider this. The moment you send a message and see no reply, your mind races. The urge to check your phone over and over. The restless loop of what you should have said differently. The fear that silence means rejection. That cycle is the modern plague. It is the hunger for validation that leaks into your words, your posture, your choices. It is the signal of a man who has handed over control of his own emotions. A man waiting for permission to feel secure. And here is the truth that most will never say aloud. Women can sense instability long before it is spoken. Their intuition, sharpened through centuries of survival, detects whether a man stands on solid ground or drifts without an anchor. You may try to present yourself as the prize, but if your energy betrays desperation, the illusion collapses instantly. You become like a ship with no direction, pushed and pulled by every wave of her attention. No matter how polished the exterior, no one wants to climb aboard a vessel that cannot withstand the storm. The man who lingers in her memory is not the one who clings to her presence. He is the one who remains unshaken, whole, and unmistakably himself, with or without her. Technique 1. The fortress of his mind. At the heart of Stoicism lies the dichotomy of control, a principle Epictetus expressed with clarity. Some things are within our power, and some are forever beyond it. What rests in our hands are our judgments, our choices, and our character. What lies outside includes every response from others, every shifting mood, every outcome that depends on more than ourselves. The inexperienced man spends his energy grasping at what he can never hold. He measures his worth by her reactions, builds his peace on her attention, and in doing so becomes bound to forces he cannot master. Picture this. A woman cancels a meeting at the last moment. The unsteady man reacts with anxiety and frustration. He scrambles for explanations, floods her with questions, and tries to repair an imagined rupture. His mind claws at control, but in truth, he is only exposing his dependence. The Stoic man moves differently. He recognizes the disappointment as real, feels it for a moment, and then releases it. Her decision is hers alone, and it falls outside his walls. What remains firmly within his reach is his response. He channels his focus into training his body, building his craft, or deepening his knowledge. His progress does not stall because her plans shifted. This discipline, this unwavering command over one's inner state, is not only rare, it is deeply compelling. In a world where most people are tugged endlessly by external winds, the man who governs himself becomes a fortress. His steadiness does not repel others. It draws them in, because true sovereignty over one's emotions is a strength that cannot be faked, and it is the quality that makes him unforgettable. Technique 2. The economy of words. Spend time watching men in a crowded room and you will notice a clear pattern. Some scramble to fill every silence, tossing out jokes and stories as if more words might buy them approval. Their speech is scattered and frantic, a performance that drains them while rarely leaving a lasting impression. They confuse noise with influence. The Stoic-minded man moves with an entirely different rhythm. He understands that words carry weight only when chosen with care. He speaks less, but when he does, every sentence has intention. His silence is not empty. It is charged with presence. He listens more than he talks, not because he learned it as a trick, but because he is genuinely curious about the people in front of him. When he asks, his questions invite depth rather than skimming the surface. And when he allows silence to linger, he does not rush to break it. That pause becomes a space of gravity where others lean closer, drawn in without realizing why. This man does not measure his worth in laughter or applause. He is not auditioning for approval, and he is not afraid of a lack of response. His restraint communicates more than any performance could. It signals a man whose confidence is not dependent on how his words are received. He does not need to prove himself. His presence proves him already. Technique 3. Embracing the outcome, also known as Amor Fati. This principle, central to Stoic thought, is not about grudging acceptance of what happens. It is about a wholehearted embrace of fate, a belief that every twist and turn carries value. Amor Fati dissolves the restless hunger that poisons so many interactions. The typical man approaches relationships with an agenda. He fixates on securing her number or forcing a certain progression. His sense of happiness hangs on achieving a result. That dependence leaks into his tone, his body language, and his choices. The fear of loss becomes the silent undertone of everything he says, and it sabotages him before he even begins. The Stoic man approaches differently. Guided by Amor Fati, he is direct about his interest, but detached from whether the outcome aligns with his wish. The meeting itself is not a test he must pass. It is an exchange, a chance to reveal his authentic self and to see if hers resonates in return. If she accepts, that is a path opening, rich with new potential. If she declines, that too is a gift, closing a door that was not meant for him and freeing him to invest his energy where it truly belongs. This is not a clever tactic. It is a genuine internal stance. The Stoic man believes that every outcome, including rejection, contributes to his growth and shapes his path with purpose. A woman feels this lack of desperation instantly. She senses that her presence enriches his life, but does not complete it. His wholeness exists with or without her answer, and that independence makes his invitation far more compelling than any attempt to convince or persuade. Technique 4. The Unflappable Core. Consciously or unconsciously, a woman will test the strength of a man's frame. She wants to know whether the confidence he projects is genuine or a fragile act waiting to collapse. These tests often come disguised as compliments or criticisms. The average man is swayed by both. When flattered, he becomes overly eager, showing that his sense of worth depends entirely on approval. When criticized, he reacts with anger or insecurity, revealing that the same fragile dependence drives him. The Stoic man stands apart. His self-worth is not borrowed from others, but generated from within. It is a fire that burns in his own furnace, not a reflection in someone else's glass. When praised, he receives it graciously, perhaps with a simple thank you, and then continues without needing to bask in the glow. His inner state remains steady, neither inflated nor diminished. When teased or criticized, he does not fold. He might laugh, shrug, or even play along, showing that words cannot shake the foundation of who he is. To him, praise and criticism are passing weather, temporary conditions that cannot alter the mountain they surround. This steadiness creates a quiet shock. For someone used to men whose emotions swing wildly at a single comment, encountering a man who cannot be manipulated so easily is both disarming and magnetic. It communicates a rare strength, the kind of strength that comes only from knowing that no opinion can add to or subtract from who you already are. Technique 5. His unseen code. At the center of Stoic thought stand the 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. For the modern man, these become more than abstract ideals. They form a personal code of conduct, a mission that gives shape and direction to his life. He is guided not by fleeting pleasures or the fear of being alone, but by principles that anchor him to something larger than himself. His code might be expressed through his craft, his discipline in training, his devotion to family, or the work he contributes to the world. Whatever form it takes, this mission is not an accessory. It is the core that fuels his integrity. Without it, he drifts. Now imagine this moment. She sends him a sudden message, asking to meet that very evening. For the man who seeks approval above all else, the temptation is irresistible. He abandons his commitments instantly, eager to seize the chance. In doing so, he reveals that her whims outweigh his own direction. His word to himself is weak, easily broken. The Stoic man answers differently. He remains respectful and open, yet he does not betray his own code. He might reply, "I would like to, but I have a commitment tonight. How about another day?" This response is not about rejecting her. It is about honoring the promises he has made to himself. His discipline communicates that his time, his goals, and his path matter deeply. A woman may enjoy being prioritized in the short term, but lasting respect arises only when she sees that he cannot be pulled away from his center. The unseen code he follows silently declares who he is, and it makes him a man who stands apart. Technique 6. The urgency of his purpose, also known as Memento Mori. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Remember, you will die." This is not a grim fixation, but the clearest lens through which to see life. When a man accepts his mortality, the trivial loses its grip on him. Petty arguments, endless overthinking, and emotional games appear as they truly are, distractions that squander precious time. The man who lives with this awareness does not indulge in 3-day quarrels about a text. He does not spiral into jealousy or cling to passive aggression. The knowledge of death sharpens his priorities and gives his presence an unmistakable depth because he understands that every hour is not. He refuses to waste it on low-value interactions or cycles of drama. He addresses conflict with directness, not to score points, but to resolve and move forward. His conversations carry more focus and sincerity because he knows that the present moment is the only certainty. This way of living creates an atmosphere around him that feels rare in a world addicted to noise and chaos. For a woman accustomed to men who are endlessly reactive. Being near someone who will not be pulled into pointless battles is powerful. It is not dullness. It is peace. His urgency to live with meaning transforms him into a sanctuary, a presence that feels steady, uncluttered, and profoundly magnetic. Technique 7. The Controlled Discomfort. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoics, would intentionally live for short periods as if he had nothing. He would eat the plainest food, sleep on the hardest surface, and wear his simplest clothes. He did this not from necessity, but from discipline, to prove to himself one essential truth: I can endure this. By practicing voluntary hardship, he was building resilience long before adversity arrived. In modern life, the principle remains the same. The man who seeks growth willingly steps into discomfort. He takes the cold shower, pushes through that final repetition when his muscles beg him to stop, and tackles the demanding projects that others avoid. He does not pursue these trials for attention or praise. He embraces them to forge certainty, the kind of confidence that only comes from facing struggle directly and surviving it. Anyone can say they are strong. Few can demonstrate it when pressure rises. The Stoic man knows his strength because he has tested it repeatedly in small, deliberate ways. A woman does not need to see his routines written down. She perceives it in how he carries himself, in the steadiness of his gaze, in the calm he maintains when others unravel. She feels the presence of someone who will not collapse when life grows harsh, because he has made a habit of facing difficulty, falling, and rising again. That quiet resilience speaks louder than any claim of confidence ever could. We have walked through 7 techniques, but if you have been treating them as a checklist for how to win a woman, then you have missed the deeper truth. These lessons were never about controlling her. They are about mastering yourself. What makes you magnetic is not a set of tricks, but the man you become when you commit to growth. Attraction is the shadow of strength. It is the smoke rising from the fire you build within, the fortress of mind, the economy of words, the embrace of fate, the unflappable core, the unseen code, the urgency of purpose. The controlled discomfort, these are not performances for an audience. They are disciplines that forge character. The real transformation begins when you stop asking, "What must I do to get her?" and begin asking, "Who must I become to be whole?" Stop chasing the butterfly. Cultivate the garden, and watch the butterflies arrive on their own. Knowledge without practice is only decoration for the mind. It makes you feel clever, but leaves your life untouched. So let us begin with one step. Forget all 7 techniques for the moment and focus only on the foundation, the fortress of your mind. For the next 24 hours, guard it like a sentinel. Each time you feel a surge of frustration, impatience, or anxiety over something you cannot control, pause. Take one breath. Say to yourself, "This is external. My response is mine." Do not judge the emotion. Simply name it, release it, and return to your own command. That one practice lays the first stone in the walls of your fortress. This is the Stoic path. It is not the path of quick approval or shallow games. It is the long path of becoming a man whose presence brings stability and respect, not because he demands it, but because he embodies it. The pull others feel toward you will not be your focus, it will be your reward. If this message resonates with you, take your place in this community of men who are building strength from the inside out. Subscribe, tap the bell so you stay connected, and share in the comments which of these 7 principles struck you most deeply. Begin your 24-hour challenge today, and remember, The world is full of sand. Your task is to become the fortress.